Welcome to Hot Topics.
Well, fun with technical issues, and it's Wednesday, and who knows? I think it's because, so here in our neck of the woods, so we're in Canada, we're in Ontario, close to Toronto, and we have woken up this morning to a winter wonderland.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that, I don't know, I feel like I've entered an alternate universe. So our alternate universe is snow here in April, towards the end of April, and technical issues this morning. So,
and coupled with the last 2 days that I didn't have cell service because everybody in Canada at Rogers, all of a sudden it disappeared. So we literally, I don't know if you've ever thought about this because I don't have a landline at home, and I realized I couldn't call anybody.
That's the funny part that everyone realized is that when that goes down, you literally buckle an entire whatever, everybody.
Yeah, and here's the funny part. So I was texting a friend. I said, "Sorry, I can't call you today because my phone doesn't work," right? Which is pretty normal, you know. And then I about, an hour later, I hear my kid talking to them, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I talked to them on Snapchat, and I'm like, "Well, why didn't I just use FaceTime?" Duh. So,
well, see, that's the difference because our generation thinks of talking on the telephone. Mm-hmm. Their generation, they don't know what that is because they don't talk on the phone ever to anybody.
No, they're either on a chat, on a Snapchat, on a Discord.
Exactly. Anyway, so very interesting.
We're here, and I'm really excited today. Ready for Hot Topics. So, I know. So I wanted to hear, that 70s the music I like. Well, I wanted to play that because yesterday was all about Apple porn. Yes, it was mesmerizing. You can tell the Apple is my mothership, Stacy's as well. And I was just mesmerized, and I kept texting Stacy going, "Oh my God, until she finally broke down and went and watched the Apple event as well.
Because I pretty much was like, "You're killing me. You are actually killing me. Spoiler alert. Hello, stop texting me." No, it was all good. It was good.
So exciting because, I was thinking about it. It's interesting because we'll talk about what Apple was doing, but it's also what's interesting about that conversation is all about brand, right? Yeah. And when you're so loyal to a brand, you get giddy and excited when it does something new, right? Like, I mean, how excited was I about a purple phone? And I don't even think I'll buy it, but I loved it. So,
yeah, they did so many. And I think what they did, which was really smart. So for anybody that hasn't watched it, you just need to go watch it, whether you're an Apple fan or not.
It doesn't matter.
The way that they showcased all of the different features and all of the different products, but it was intermixed with like cinema and like little skits and stuff like that. So they really tied it all together, I think, really, really well. So I was, because I always like that side of things. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And at one point, somebody was doing like the Mission Impossible, like going down and like how they transition from one product to another was very brilliant.
Was really well done. And I give them a lot of accolades. I know people are going to think we sound like an Apple commercial. We just love the brand and we love everything they put out. But forget that for a minute because here's some really, really smart marketing on their side. I've been talking every time I talk about Apple. I always talk about, oh my God, like to the newer generation, oh my God, you should have seen when they first came out and there were all these different colors and it was so fun because like that was the only thing on the market. Yeah, big, but they were colored and like everybody who, liked that kind of stuff had it. And then yesterday they came out with the iMac in colors and it was so cool because as we're moving into this, continually into this retro vintage vibe, it's perfectly timed. It looks new with appealing to the younger group that loves all the different colors and it appeals to everyone who grew up knowing the actual original iMac that was the colored bubble, right? It was very, very cool. And, as I was watching, I was like, I just want one in every color.
Well, what was interesting for me from again, being true to their brand, they haven't altered, they know what they do, which I love. Yeah. But I think what they've done with the iMac and bringing back the colors, you're absolutely right. Number one, I remember that catching my eye back then. I wasn't an Apple user then. I didn't have the colored iMac, but I know people who bought it specifically because it was fun and cool and colorful.
Yeah, look great in your room.
Absolutely, right. Especially like the university dorms and stuff like that. Like people were picking it up. And then, of course, they stopped that. So now good for them because they're appealing to a new generation who will buy it because it's, again, so it's like full circle. Right. People now who are not Apple users will probably buy it because it's cool and it looks sleek and you can get it in red and orange and blue and yellow and all of that, which is really cool. And you and I are going, oh my God, this is what it used to be. I'm in. So cool. Good for how to bridge multiple generations is very difficult in branding and business. Yeah. So good for them to figuring it out, how to bring it back in a new way.
Yeah. And, we talk about, we used to do tech talk on Tuesdays and so we're kind of doing tech today with Hot Topics, but this is Hot Topics. It's, it's new and exciting happening. And they did come out
yesterday, literally.
Yeah, it did. And they came out with the new iPad Pro, which is phenomenal. And here's a thing that I really got out of it because Stacy and I we're getting them right. Like end of May, they come out. It's not a question. We're buying them. So, but what's interesting about it is the camera is a 1080 on the iMac and on the iPad Pro. Everything is now 1080p 4K. The iPad Pro can film in 4K, and there is a studio quality mic. So I want everyone to understand what that means, right? It means that you can film whatever you want, whether it's a YouTube thing or a film for, your company or your personal brand, without any external pieces. So you do not have to add our fabulous Yeti mics, right? You don't have to add an additional camera. It's that good. And this is the part that kind of blew me away. And then Stacy can give you her take on it, was the iPad Pro has something called Center Stage, and it works like a gimbal. When a gimbal, I think that's a generic-y term, but when you're doing a cooking thing in your kitchen, it will follow you so that you're always center stage. And the iPad Pro can do that now too.
That pretty much made me just sit there. And speaking of porn, I was like, I think I need a cigarette.
Exactly.
I don't even smoke, but I was like, I was blown away by that feature alone. I was like sitting there and I'm like mesmerized at the TV going, oh my God. My husband's like, what? I'm like, it moves. Well, it doesn't really move. It zooms in and out to follow you, making sure you're in the frame. And if somebody else joins the frame, then it kind of goes widescreen, but does it all automatically.
Yeah, different, like a gimbal tilts, right? It pivots,
it moves.
But this one is better because this one is stationary, so you don't even have to worry about putting it anywhere.
Exactly. So I think the iPad Pro was probably my favorite part because I was literally glued to everything that they were saying.
Well, for anyone that does do video in their business or even, for example, if you're thinking about doing video and you just don't like, oh, I have to add a mic and don't just buy the damn iPad Pro. You can edit on it. There's a pen, so you can use the pen on it. Like there's
the Apple Pencil is very, very cool. But I think what's interesting is with the iMac being in high definition, so 1080, and the iPad Pro now being in high definition and 4K and all of that. Right. I think the webcam industry is going to take a hit because we purposely bought the 1080 webcam because our cameras aren't that, but now we have them as part of our computer.
You don't need
what?
It. Exactly.
And then I saw somebody, we get really excited, but with an iPad, and then of course they have it hooked up through the USB-C, which I thought was very smart, which obviously we're moving in that direction anyway, to a bigger monitor. Right. So it's like, well, wait a minute, there's your computer.
Right.
And the storage and all of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we both have, so I have a Samsung 4K monitor. So, that it's perfect. It's already waiting for it to come. So we're really excited.
which is going to be really fun. So I'm very excited. I think some of the smaller stuff, the phone, they kind of glazed over it. But I think the one thing that stood out to me more specifically on this announcement was the fact that they didn't focus on the camera quality of the phone.
Right.
Because all of the, not to compare Android and Apple and not to get the Android people upset, but that's the sales pitch.
Right.
If you watch a commercial for any of the Android phones, the sales pitch is the photo. Right. But what Apple's done is they can do so much more. So I loved it. I didn't get too excited about the purple. I'm sorry. That didn't really, I was like, whatever, because
I loved everything, every color. I mean, I can remember, so I remember back 100 years ago, remember the flip Razor, the Razor phone? Do you remember it was flipped and it slips my mind, started with an M, Motorola Razor. That's what it was. And it was very sleek, very nice. And it was, silver and black. And I remember having to go to upgrade my phone. Remember in the day, it was a big deal when you had to go and upgrade to your next phone.
Oh my God, it was awful.
So I went
such a big deal.
And there was a black and a silver and a fuchsia one. And I was looking, I was like, okay, I'll probably get the black or I'll get the silver. And then I look at the fuchsia and he said, every time you look at the fuchsia, you smile. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you get that? And I said, well, business. And he's like, well, why don't you just get that one, younger guy? And I was like, okay. So I got it. And I honestly, I've always thought about how much that phone made me smile because I loved to look at it. So aesthetically, I love nice looking aesthetics around me. Yeah. So that's why when I saw the colors on the phones, it doesn't mean that I want the purple, but it means that I understand somebody who wants it and goes, oh my God, I'm just happy looking at it. And when
it is going to bring them joy. Absolutely. Yeah. It is going to bring a lot of people an immense amount of joy to go, oh my goodness, I can get a purple phone.
Yeah. So don't awesome get us wrong. We're not telling you to run out to buy a purple phone. But we're saying is if you're going to buy one anyway, it's so cool that you can have these choices, right? It doesn't mean you do need it. No. Is it more money? No. But it's there.
It's an option to bring you joy. Absolutely. So
that was very cool. But I think overall in everything, even you guys should watch it. You can see it on YouTube and on Apple TV and everything else. But what was interesting is just the whole, how far everything has come and how now little you need. So we've talked a lot, Stacy and I, about how everything has moved in just very short time, 5-10 years from, duct taping everything in everywhere, not just phones and cameras, but, duct taping your CRM, your landing pages when there was one, your website, and you'd have to, and you spend I remember spending an absolute fortune for putting
because you had to buy
together.
16 different programs and subscriptions, and then you had to pay to duct tape it. Then you had to pay, it was just constantly trying to figure it out. And if one company or one program made a change, it messed up the whole system.
So for those of you who are going, I love apples, but they're way more expensive than the other ones. Yeah, but I think look at the bundle. Right? Look at what you get and say, what don't you need anymore? If I buy the iPad Pro, what don't I need anymore? And that will, kind of get you thinking about, is it worth it to just invest a little bit more money in an Apple product or something comparable and not have to maybe not go cheap on a laptop, but then have to have all the accessories, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, good for Apple. I mean, they have all the accessories and they look just as good, which is really exciting. But I think it's the little things too. I like the fact with Apple in general, again, this is not an Apple commercial. We're just love them, but it sounds like it exactly. But I like the way that everything syncs together. Yeah. And they did have, sorry, I'm just going through our text chat last night, which was literally while we were both watching.
Yeah. Most of it just said, oh my God, and wow.
Yeah. You were center stage.
The AirTag. AirTag. I love the
AirTag. That's what it was. Yeah.
So I love the AirTag because there's something that, called Tile that some of you use, but AirTag Looks like a little key fob. You can put it on a key fob or anything you want, and it connects to your Find My, right? So when you guys know your Find My iPhone, and I can't even tell you how many times I've, went and dinged to find my phone because I lose it all the time in the house.
I'm gonna buy you about 6 bundles of the AirTags. I'm gonna put them on everything, including yourself.
It's true. So I'm definitely putting it on my keys, right? Yeah. But what I like about it, is there other like simple solutions like Tile or anything else? Sure there is, but this is integrated into your Find My, right? And so now when you say then it comes in packs of 4 or something, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you lose all the time, put it on there. And now whether you're on your phone, your laptop or whatever, you can find everything. And the cool thing is did you notice on the iPhone 12s, which I'm going to order this week, on the iPhone 12s, it'll literally, as it's finding it, it'll tell you like 9 feet away, 8 feet away.
Where it is. Yeah. And the direction. And again, going back to the way that they produced that particular session was this guy going into a couch and he literally ended up in an abyss trying to find his keys. And it was really, really well done. Even if you just watch it for the transitions between products. But one thing I did want to bring up that was probably one of my second favorite, the iMac close second favorite, iPad Pro beyond my favorite, was the podcast interface. So what they've done on top of hardware is they've also updated their software. So as we know, 50% of podcast listeners approximately are listening through the Apple Podcasts app.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're revamping the interface so that each episode, because what the challenge right now with the Apple Podcast app is that you click on an episode, but you really don't see the show notes.
Right.
So now what they've done is when you click on it, you're going to be able to open up a whole new almost page for that episode. So again, the image that's associated with that episode and the show notes, everything's sort of front and center and it looks really sleek. Yeah. Which I love. But the most important thing that they're adding is a podcast subscription service.
Right.
Meaning that you can get people to pay a monthly subscription fee to listen to your podcast, which I thought was a great move forward because that's the part of this whole podcast industry that's very challenging because podcasts are free. And a lot of people are looking at, well, how can I get people to pay to listen to the information?
Right.
Welcome to podcast subscription. Right. So I'm really excited about that part. Super,
and I like the interface how it looks more like Apple Music now. So it'll like recommend, you can browse and it'll say these are recommended for you. And it looks like your Apple Music interface if you guys use that. So it is. I mean, I love the fact that, it's anything. If it was, an Android device that was bringing something new, we'd be equally as excited if it was like really exciting things, right? It's just, I can't even stress it enough. You don't, you're a photographer, like a would-be photographer. You don't need a DSLR, right? You just need an iPad Pro now, and you can do the same kind of work. Don't get me wrong, you guys photographers that are, do your focus and this and that. But for the hobbyist,
I was going to say for the general person who's not that professional photographer, absolutely. So the photos are going to be better. Just how they develop the technology. So I like the hardware concept, but I was also excited about the software that they have. And again, I think I like the fact that they were focused on just the little things, like making things a little bit brighter, making things true to tone, making things like make what you have really good instead of adding more and more features. We don't need the more features. We need the features that we have to be better. Right. And that's exactly what they did. The speed, I think I was wowed by the speed at which things were going to be able to move, download speeds, like all of that. They made things faster, which again shows that what they did is they took what they did well and they made it better.
Right.
Which I love. So because this is Tech Tuesday, I just want to switch gears. It's not Tech Tuesday, it's Tech Wednesday. But because we're on the tech conversation, I just want to go down the road of a few other announcements that were made, which was, we alluded to it recently, which is Facebook is going to be adopting the audio world as we suspected. So they are going to bring the social audio experience like Clubhouse to Facebook.
Interesting,
so Twitter's
because it's
very
Facebook.
interesting. Oh, that's funny. I never really thought about that. That's actually really funny.
I just amuse myself all the time.
But basically in this, it just basically says that Facebook is now pivoting to audio. So again, they're going to be a competitor. It's going to open it up for everybody, but it's going to change what we're doing. Because I think we've realized, and although Facebook is very focused on the video experience, I think they're realizing that bringing in the audio experience is going to happen. So again,
you knew it was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be able to hit way more people quickly, right?
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting.
So with podcast subscriptions and Facebook audio that you can also integrate into your platforms, we're really going to see a huge upswing in 2021 and 2022 in the audio experience. I think it's already starting, but with these shifts of both of these companies focusing on audio, it's really interesting to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean video's gone, because it isn't. It's still going to be the number one way people want to watch. But it's interesting because, again, video, audio, different problems, same problems, right? In video, you want to speed it up if somebody talks really slow and you like to get to the message. For some people, same thing with audio. There's no difference. So, but it's harder to speed up because you can't.
Well, you can if you're listening on a podcast, right? And that's actually what somebody said, because that was one of their pros to listening to a podcast was I can click the double speed because I can listen fast. Versus, if somebody's live, you can't speed that up, and it's kind of like you want to fast forward through commercials, but you can't on a live show. My kids will come and be like, "Can't you fast forward?" I'm like, it's live.
They don't understand that concept.
They don't
really watch anything live.
No, everything is, well, it was funny because a show had come out and my son, it was on season 3. And he goes, but I need to go back and watch season 1 and 2, but we had to find it. And he goes, well, obviously it's there. Like, it's not like things just go away. And I'm like, shut up.
It's true.
Because in our day, it went away.
It went away, and you waited. I remember waiting all year to watch like a Christmas movie, right? Because it only came out at Christmas, right? But I mean, the one thing I want everyone to be clear on this is we're excited because we love tech and we love new stuff, but we also, throwing out the Facebook audio and changing podcasts and this, don't be overwhelmed. Right? Don't be overwhelmed by it, because what we're talking about is actually going to be easier for you. Not mean you have to be on Facebook audio. It doesn't mean you have to be on Clubhouse. It doesn't mean you have to do video. You choose what you want to do, if you want to do any, and you choose how you learn no matter what. So it really is an exciting time. I mean, I wish, sometimes I sit there and I go, man, I wish I was 10, because because I would love to see where the world's going to be, in 50 years from now. It's just really, really fascinating, but it's kind of cool that we can at least be, part of this exciting change. So really embrace it and think about how you can benefit from all this stuff for your brand, for your business, for what you do. Like, how can you use all this cool stuff to make a difference?
Absolutely. And again, exactly like what Faye said, don't feel like you have to. It's options, and they're opening up. I can't even speak this morning. Apparently I need another coffee. More options for people, but it doesn't mean even with the Facebook audio, they're very quick to say that video is still the number one way to reach people on social media, which is absolutely true. We love tech. We don't expect everyone to love tech. No. But when these things are launched and when they are available, we will definitely, because this is my wheelhouse, this is what I love. When these things become available, we'll definitely do a walkthrough to showcase what they do, how to make them work, if it's something that you choose to integrate with your business.
Yeah, and we do that on Master Mondays in our community group. So if you're not part of it, go ahead. It's mastermindcitycommunity.com. Join. It's free. You can watch us every Monday as we teach the new and most exciting stuff. Normally we would do this on a Master Monday, but it was so exciting. It was a hot topic. We couldn't pass it by.